So, we finally have a sequel to Independence Day coming out next week, which, honestly, I don't think people were really asking for. I mean, I wasn't asking for an Independence Day sequel. Nobody else I know, even if they were giant fans of the movies, asking for an Independence Day sequel, but we're getting one anyway, so might as well take a look at the first Independence Day before reviewing the sequel. Independence Day was released in 1996, 20 years ago, directed by Roland Emmerich. The story is basically aliens come down from another planet, blow shit up, try to take over the world, but the humans decide to fight back, mount one final counterattack against the alien forces on the 4th of July, which is also, as the movie is titled, Independence Day. Now, Roland Emmerich is one of those directors like Michael Bay, whose films are very polarizing. Like, he'll have one movie that a lot of people remember as his masterpiece, which is not really saying much, and Independence Day really is that movie for Roland Emmerich. Yes, the dialogue is not very good. There's not much character development, if any. All the characters are pretty much stereotypes, and the plot isn't all that interesting. It's just an alien invasion movie. But if you're willing to look at it just as an alien invasion movie, like a modern big budget version of a 1950s alien invasion movie, it does its job fairly well. I actually really enjoy Independence Day. It's not great by any stretch of the imagination. I won't defend the movie from those who dislike the movie or hate it, but it is very entertaining. It's that movie I consider to be that, like, definitive 90s movie, sort of like how Top Gun was definitive for the 80s. It's just, what movie defined the 90s in the cheesiest way possible? And Independence Day, I think, fits that category perfectly. Like I said, it is a very entertaining movie. All the action scenes are fun, and the special effects are really great. That scene where the aliens blow up the White House is iconic. Like, at the time it came out, it was considered to be groundbreaking. And I did mention that a lot of the characters are stereotypes. You got, actors like Brett Spiner, who plays the nerdy scientist stereotype, Randy Quaid, who plays the redneck stereotype, Judd Hirsch as the Jewish dad stereotype. The list goes on. But even though the characters are stereotypes, the actors do a really good job for the kind of movie that this is. The most charismatic of the actors here are probably Jeff Goldblum, who pretty much plays Jeff Goldblum. He does the same thing he does in Jurassic Park, but you know what? He still has charisma, and I liked him. Bill Pullman, who plays the President of the United States and delivers possibly the cheesiest yet most epic speech you've ever heard in any movie. And Will Smith. Even if you don't like the movie or anyone else in the movie, you have to admit that Will Smith is pretty charming. And he has one memorable scene in this movie that really sets the tone for the whole thing. It's when an alien comes out of the ship that he just crashed. He just punches it out and says, "Welcome to Earth." And then he smokes a cigar and says, "Now that's what I call a close encounter." It's at that point you realize, okay, this is a B movie. It's all that's trying to be, and if you're on board with that, then it's gonna entertain you and you're gonna enjoy it. If you didn't enjoy that scene, then the whole movie's not for you. Though I will admit that the movie is very, very long. One problem I have with Roland Emmerich, Michael Bay, and Zack Snyder is that these three guys are not the best directors in the world. Yet for some reason, they feel like they have to make all of their movies run for 2.5 hours or more. If you're a director who's proven themselves time and time again, like Martin Scorsese, Peter Jackson, or Christopher Nolan, then yes, you do have carte blanche to make a movie that's 2.5 hours or more. I might criticize some of those movies for the length, but at least they are competent filmmakers. Roland Emmerich, while between him, Michael Bay, and Zack Snyder, he's the best of the three, his movies still should not be 2.5 hours. He is not a good enough director to hold a 2.5 hour movie, because while Independence Day is very entertaining at points, there is a point in the movie where it just drags. It goes so slow. The pacing just drops off, and you're just waiting for something to happen. It's not until the president makes that glorious speech, when I mean glorious, I mean cheesy, that things start to pick up. If they had cut the movie by 45 minutes, it would have been a lot tighter, and I think those people who don't like Independence Day might enjoy it a little more because it's shorter. And one other thing that I really hate that this movie does is at the beginning, whenever they have to transition to a new location, you have these white flashes, like, and it gets so annoying so quickly that it almost kind of turns me off from the movie. But luckily, it's only at the beginning. So Independence Day may not be the best movie ever made, not by a long shot. If you are one of those people that can embrace it for what it's trying to be, which is basically a big budget version of an alien invasion movie from the 1950s, then you're going to enjoy it. The characters are fun to watch, the action's exciting, and as cheesy as this movie is, there is admittedly one emotional scene in this movie that kind of got to me. When the First Lady is bleeding internally and dies, it admittedly almost teared me up. It didn't quite tear me up because the rest of the movie is just really cliched, but it was an effective scene, I'm not gonna lie. I think, personally, it's a good movie, but by no means is it a great movie at all. It is not a masterpiece by any stretch of the imagination. And like I said, if you can't find any enjoyment about Will Smith punching out an alien saying welcome to Earth and smokes a cigar while he does it, then you're not going to like this movie. It's just not for you. But if you enjoyed that element, then Independence Day is for you. Now, I know what people are thinking out there. Alex, how can you enjoy Independence Day but you despise Roland Emmerich's Godzilla? Well, here's the reason why. Independence Day and Godzilla do have a lot of similarities. Big special effects, cheesy dialogue, cliched characters. But here's where things are different. Independence Day is original. I mean, yes, it is an alien invasion movie, but it's not based off any other existing property. It's not based off a book. It's not based off an older movie. So it's free to form its own identity. Like, if it wants to be cheesy, then that's fine. It's perfectly cheesy. Now, when you get into Roland Emmerich's Godzilla, the reason why I despise that movie, even though it has a lot of the elements that make Independence Day fun for me, is that Roland Emmerich was given the task to make a mainstream Godzilla movie that American audiences can watch. But it was clear that he did not give a shit about Godzilla at all. The monster doesn't look like Godzilla, he doesn't breathe atomic breath, and he's instantly killed by missiles, which that does not happen for Godzilla in Japan. It's very similar to with Michael Bay when it comes to Transformers. When you take into account movies like Armageddon and Bad Boys, whether you love them or hate them, you have to admit that they do kind of take on their own identity, because they're original. Transformers is not original, and Michael Bay decided to take something and just Michael Bayify it and make it unlike what the original source material was. Same thing with Roland Emmerich and Godzilla. He basically took something that wasn't his and he turned it into his own thing, and by doing that, he completely disrespected the source material. Whereas with Independence Day, again, it's original movie, so he's free to do whatever he wants. But anyway, after that long rant, that's my review for Independence Day. Do I think the sequel's going to be good? I don't think so, honestly, because the trailers make it look too serious. But we'll see what happens. I could probably go for shit blowing up. I mean, hopefully it's not boring, but we'll see what happens next week. And until then, I hope you enjoyed this review. I can't wait to hear what your guys' thoughts are on the original Independence Day, if and when you've seen it. Like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends. Don't forget to check out my official website, and you can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Periscope, Riff.tv, and if you love what I'm doing, whether it's movie reviews, let's plays, or podcasts, you can go to patreon.com/TheRealMrRobinson and donate a monthly fee if you please. If not, don't worry, you're still getting awesome content. And this is The Real Mr. Robinson telling you there's only one.